Welcome everybody once again. So this is our last class for module 4. So today we are going to see some contents related to Cipolletti weir or notches, broad crested weir, narrow crested weir, sharp edged weir, that is ogee weir, etc. So this is our last class for this module. So from tomorrow onwards we will start our module 5. So today's class we are going to see what is Cipolletti weir or notch. So you have already studied about a trapezoidal weir or notches. So trapezoidal weir or notches, you know, it is a combination of both rectangular notch and a triangular notch, right? So this is one triangle and this is another triangle. If you join these both, you will get a V notch. So combination of a V notch. See, this is one half of the V notch. This is another half of the V notch. If you join, if you divide these two V notch, so this is the first part, this is the second part. First part, second part. So this trapezoidal weir or notches is a combination of a triangular part and a V part. Okay, so a triangular notch and a V notch. So now, what is Cipolletti weir? So Cipolletti weir, it is a type of trapezoidal weir. So it is a trapezoidal weir which has side slopes of 1 horizontal to 4 vertical. So if the slope is in the ratio 1:4, if the side slope is in the ratio 1:4, then you call the weir as a Cipolletti weir. So if you take, this is a trapezoidal cross section. So if you So this will be our free water surface. So if you draw triangles from this, right? We can drop down the triangles. We can mark the point as A, B, C, D, E and F. So we have a rectangular portion BCDF and two triangular portions ABC and DEF. So this angle, see this, if you are joining these both, see this can be a V notch, right? V part, that is A, B, C and D, E, F. So this angle is theta. So each angle, so this angle will be theta by 2. Same way this angle will be theta by 2. So, okay, this angle is theta by 2 and this angle is also theta by 2. Now, if you take the ratio of horizontal to vertical, okay, so you can draw like this. So it will be 1 horizontal to 4 vertical. So this is called a Cipolletti weir. If this portion, if AB is equal to 1, then this portion will be equal to 4. If this is equal to H, then this will be equal to 4H. That is the meaning of that. Okay. Okay, now, so from this we can get tan theta by 2 is equal to AB by BC. AB by BC. So we get AB, you can take AB as H. So this BC will be equal to 4H. So H by 4H we get 1 by 4. So from this we can get theta by 2 is equal to tan 1 by 4, that is equal to 14 degree 2 minutes. Okay, so this angle ACB equal to angle FDE will be equal to 14 degree 2 minutes for a Cipolletti weir. Now we will try to prove this. So by giving this type of slopes to the sides, An increase in discharge through the triangular portions A, B, C and D, E, F of the weir is obtained. So an increased discharge is obtained only if you provide a slope of at least equal to 1:4. If this slope is not provided, if you are not giving this slope, if you are not providing this slope of 1:4, at least 1:4, the weir will be considered as a rectangular one. And due to end contraction, see, if you are not giving this slope, this triangular portions will be considered as portions with end contraction. And due to this end contractions, if the slope is less, okay, if the slope is less, due to this end contractions, there will be a reduced discharge, reduced flow or reduced discharge. So if this slope is not provided, the weir would be a rectangular one, and due to end contraction, the discharge would decrease. And thus, in the case of Sipalotti weir, the factor of end contraction is not required. Therefore, the discharge, we know the discharge through a rectangular weir with two end contractions. That means for a minimum slope, if slope is very less, that is less than 1:4, our discharge will be equal to 2/3 CD into L minus 0.2 H. H is the head of the water level. So L minus 0.2 H into root of 2G H raised to 3/2. See, this L is replaced by, that is length of the rectangular weir is replaced by L minus 0.2 H. So that will be equal to, you can write this as 2/3 CDL root 2G into H raised to 3/2 minus 2/15 CD root 2G H raised to 5/2. See, this is for the rectangular weir or notch, and in order to get this derivation, we have to minus this from this, okay. So you will get, see, this is equal to this, right? So if you need this, if you need, see, I will take this as A, this as B, and this as a C. So C is equal to A minus B. So if you need this B, how will you get B? It is A minus C. So from this rectangular portion, see, from this discharge through the rectangular portion minus discharge through the rectangular portion with end contractions, you can get this B. That is, what is the reason? How much is reduced due to end contraction? How much discharge is reduced due to end contraction? Now, due to end contraction, the discharge decreases by 2/15 CD into root of 2G H raised to 5/2. So this decrease in discharge can be compensated by giving such a slope to the sides that the discharge through the two rectangular portion is equal to 2/15 CD. See, this much is the reduced discharge. So in order to compensate this reduced discharge, you can give a slope such a way that will compensate this reduced discharge. Okay, so that slope, let us take that slope as theta by 2. That is what we have marked here, theta by 2. So if that is taken as theta by 2, discharge, we know discharge through a V notch with an angle theta. See, this is V notch. This angle is theta by 2 and this angle is theta by 2. So for a V notch, the angle subtended is theta, right? So we know for a V notch through an angle theta, our discharge is equal to 8/15 CD root 2G tan theta by 2 H raised to 5/2. Now we will equate these both. So this is equal to, we will take this as equation number 1 and this as equation number 2. So equating 1 and 2, we get theta by 2 is equal to 14 degree 2 seconds, 2 minutes. So by providing theta by 2 is equal to 14 degree 2 minutes, you can you can compensate with the reduced discharge due to end contractions. That is what is given here, 14 degree 2 minutes. Okay. Now, we will move on to the next. Okay. So, the discharge through Sipolati weir is Q is equal to 2 by 3 CD L into root of 2G H raised to 3 by 2. That is same as that of a rectangular weir. Discharge through a Sipolati weir. That means if the side slope is in the ratio of 1:4, the discharge will be equal to 2 by 3 CD L into root 2G H raised to 3 by 2. Now, by considering the velocity of approach, our Q will be equal to 2 by 3 CD L into root of 2G H plus HA. HA is the additional head. H plus HA the whole raised to 3 by 2 minus HA the whole raised to 3 by 2. HA is the additional head due to the velocity of approach. So, we can determine the velocity of approach as Q by area of the cross section of the notch or the weir. We have already done in the previous problems. So, that's all about Sipolati weir. We will move on to study about what is called broad crested weir and narrow crested weirs and notches. Broad and narrow crested weirs and notches. So, we know this is a weir, right? See, this is the weir or notch. So, if you are taking a weir or notch, let capital H, this is the height of water above the crest. See, this is the crest level. This is the crest level. So, capital H is the height of water above the crest. L is the length of the crest. This is the length of the crest. Small h is the head of water at the middle of the weir. Okay, at this portion, above the middle of the weir, if you take the head, that is equal to small h. Now, how can we classify the broad and narrow crested weir? If 2L, see L is the length of the crest. If this 2L, 2 times the length of the crest is greater than h, greater than this water above the crest. So, if 2L is greater than h, we call it as broad crested weir. And if 2L is less than h, we will call it as a narrow crested weir or notch. So, for a broad crested weir, the discharge is equal to CD into L into root of 2G into H square minus H cube. So, I am not giving you the derivation, that is not needed for us. Just by heart the formula for exam point of view. So, Q is equal to CD into L into root of 2G into H square minus H cube. For maximum discharge, see the condition for maximum discharge is this value, that is H square minus H cube should be maximum. So, for maximum, d by dh, if you differentiate this is equal to 0, then you will get the maximum condition, the maximum relationship between capital H and small h. So, you will get small h is equal to 2 by 3 of h. Okay, so your derivation is not needed for you. The condition is maximum. For maximum discharge, small h, that is head over the middle of the weir, should be equal to head over the weir. So, that is h is equal to 2 by 3 times of capital H. Small h is head at the middle of the weir and capital H is the head over the crest. Now, Q max, substituting h is equal to 2 by 3 capital H, you will get Q max is equal to 1.705 CDL H raised to 3 by 2. Now, for narrow crested weir, Q, the discharge is equal to 2 by 3 CD. Similar for a narrow crested weir, this is similar to that of the rectangular weir. So, Q is equal to 2 by 3 CD L root 2G H raised to 3 by 2. Now, the next type of weir is ogee weir. See, this is a sharp crested weir. You can see here a sharp crest. So, this type of weir is called ogee weir. So, this head is called H and this portion, see, crest of the weir rises up to a maximum of 0.115 H. So, this water level above the weir is H. So, this crest level, this crest or the weir the crest of the weir rises for a height of 0.115 times h, and then it falls. Okay, rises and then falls. So that type of weir is called ogee weir. So the discharge for an ogee weir is the same as that of a rectangular weir. So the discharge for an ogee weir is Q equal to 2 by 3 CD L into root of 2G H raised to 3 by 2, similar to that of rectangular weir. The last type of weir is submerged or drowned weir. You can see this is the upstream side and this is the downstream side. So this weir is submerged or it is drowned inside the water. That is why it is called submerged weir or drowned weir. So water level on the downstream side of the weir is above the crest of the weir. Okay, normally only upstream side will be above. If downstream side is also above the crest of the weir, then you call it as a submerged or drowned weir. So this capital H is the height of water on the upstream side or head of water on the upstream side above the crest. Small h is the head of water on the downstream side above the crest. So the difference on the water free water surface on the upstream and downstream is capital H minus small h. So the total discharge over the weir is obtained by dividing the weir into two parts. Now we will divide this weir into two parts. First portion is portion between upstream and downstream water surface is treated as free weir. So this portion is treated as a free weir, that is portion between upstream and downstream water surface. This portion. This is the upstream water surface and this is the downstream water surface. Okay. So this portion is treated as free weir. That is the first part. Second part, portion between downstream water surface and crest of the weir. So this is the second part. So this much is the first part and this is the second part. Okay. So first part, for the first part, the discharge is 2 by 3 CD. That is similar to that of rectangular weirs, but H is replaced by capital H minus small h. So Q1 is equal to 2 by 3 CD1. So because it is two part, we are taking the coefficients of discharge as a CD1 and CD2. CD1 L root of 2G H minus H the whole raised to 3 by 2. And for the second portion, CQ2 is taken as CD2, coefficient of discharge into area of a flow into velocity of flow. So area of a flow is L into H, right? So you can see here area of flow is, this is the length of the crest, L into this H. That is area of a flow. And velocity of a flow, we know the formula for velocity of flow is root 2GH. So this H is replaced by H minus small h. So CD2 LH into root of, area is LH, velocity of flow is root of 2G into H minus H. Velocity is root of 2GH, H is replaced by H minus H, capital H minus small h. So total discharge is the summation of Q1 plus Q2, you will get it like this. So that's all the theory part. We will move on to some 4 problems. With that, we will complete our module 4. So the first problem is, okay, let us move on to our problems. So first problem is, a Sipalotti weir of crest length 60 centimeter discharges water. The head of water over the weir is 360 mm. Find the discharge over the weir if the channel is of 80 centimeter wide and 50 centimeter deep. Take coefficient of discharge is equal to 0.60. So it is given as Sipalotti weir. The crest length L is given as 60 centimeter. So L is equal to 60 centimeter. So that is equal to 0.6 meter. Now it discharges water. The head of water over the weir is 360 mm. So H is equal to 360 mm. So that is equal to 0.36 meter. Find the discharge over the weir. You are asked to find the discharge if the channel is of 80 meter wide. So B, breadth is 80 centimeter. So that is equal to 0.8 meter, and the depth is 50 centimeter. So that is equal to 0.5 meter. So from this we can get the cross sectional area is equal to 0.8 into 0.5. We get it as 0.4 meter square. Now we need to find what is the velocity of approach. Okay, so for finding the velocity of approach, we need to find what is the discharge. So now the discharge Q is equal to, we know, if not considering the velocity of approach, discharge Q is equal to 2 by 3 CD L into root of 2G H raised to 3 by 2. So this is equal to, substituting the values, we get 2 by 3 into CD, coefficient of discharge. CD is given as 0.60. 0.60 multiplied by L is 0.6 into root of 2 into 9.81 into H raised to 3 by 2. H is 0.36. So 0.36 raised to 3 by 2. So we get Q is equal to 0.2296 meter cube per second. Now we will find the velocity of approach VA is equal to discharge by area. So it is 0.2296 divided by area is 0.4. We get 0.574 meter per second. Now we can find HA, that is additional head due to velocity of approach, is equal to VA square by 2G. So we get 0.574 square by 2 into 9.81, that will be equal to 0.0168 meter. This is the additional head. So now the discharge by considering the velocity of approach is equal to 2 by 3 CD into L into root of 2G into H plus HA the whole raised to 3 by 2 minus HA raised to 3 by 2. You can substitute the values. We get the discharge as 0.2435 meter cube per second. So this is our answer. We'll move on to our second problem. So second problem is a broad crested weir of a 50 meter length. So length is given as 50 meter. Has 50 centimeter height of water above its crest. That means H is 50 centimeter. So that is equal to 0.5 meter. Take CD is equal to 0.60. Neglect the velocity of approach. So we are not going to consider the velocity of approach. If the velocity, so first case we will neglect the velocity of approach. Second case we will consider the velocity of approach. So if the velocity of approach is to be taken into consideration, find the maximum discharge when the channel has a cross-section area of 50 meter square. So area is 50 meter square on the upstream side. So we need to find the maximum discharge. We need to find what is Q max. So first case we will neglect the velocity of approach, and the second case we will consider the velocity of approach. So case 1, by neglecting the velocity of approach. So what we get is, we know the formula for Q max. Q max is equal to 1.705 CDL into H raised to 3 by 2. So CD is given as 0.60, L is given as 50, H is given as 0.5. So substituting, we will get 18.084 meter cube per second. Now case 2, considering the velocity of approach. We are taking into consideration the velocity of approach also. So we know velocity of approach, the formula is Q by area. So now we have calculated the Q max. See, we have to consider maximum discharge. So maximum discharge is 18.084 divided by area is given as 50. So velocity of approach is 0.36 meter per second. Now head due to velocity of approach is equal to VA square by 2G. So substituting VA is equal to 0.36, G is equal to 9.81. We get head due to velocity of approach, additional head due to velocity of approach is equal to 0.0066 meter. Now by considering the velocity of approach, our discharge Q will be equal to maximum discharge Q. So we will write it as Q max is equal to 1.705 CDL into this H is replaced by H plus HA the whole raised to 3 by 2 minus HA the whole raised to 3 by 2. So H plus HA the whole raised to 3 by 2 minus HA raised to 3 by 2. You can substitute the values. You will get 18.412 meter cube per second. We will move on to the third problem. Simple problem, an ogee weir 5 meter long. So length is 5 meter, has a head of 40 centimeter. So head is 40 centimeter, that is 0.4 meter. CD is coefficient of discharge is given as 0.6. We require to find what is the discharge Q. We know formula for ogee weir, discharge through an ogee weir is similar to that of a rectangular weir. So Q is equal to 2 by 3 CD L into root of 2G H raised to 3 by 2. So substituting, CD is given 0.6, L is given 5 meter, G is 9.81, H is given as 0.4 meter. We get Q is equal to 2.2409 meter cube per second. Last problem, the heights of water on the upstream and downstream side of a submerged weir of 3 meter length. So length of the submerged weir is 3 meter. The heights of water on the upstream and downstream side. So capital H is given as 20 centimeter. So that is equal to 0.2 meter. And on the downstream side, the height of water is 10 meter. So 10 centimeter. So capital H is equal to 10 centimeter. That is 0.1 meter. So CD1 is given as 0.6 and CD2 is given as 0.8. We need to find the discharge. We know formula for discharge over the drowned or submerged weir is Q is equal to 2 by 3 CD1 L root of 2G H minus H the whole raised to 3 by 2 plus CD2 into L into H, L into small h, this is area, into velocity root of 2gh, h is replaced by h minus h. So you can substitute all the values, you will get the discharge as 0.504 meter cube per second. So that's all. With this, our fourth module has been completed. From tomorrow, we will start our fifth module. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.